Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Brawl Stars. Thank you very much for joining me. Happy to have you here. And just to get this out of the way, I don't know when Brawl Stars is going to be coming in the global and Android release. However, I am pretty confident that it will indeed make it to a global release. You know, some games they kill before they even make it out of beta. I think this one is going to be a keeper, guys, just based on my own kind of intuition into Supercell and what they're looking for in their game. So far, so many people have been giving great feedback on this game early on. I'm confident it will go global. However, that's not what today's episode is for. Today's episode hopefully can benefit you guys. Even if you don't have access to the game yet, you can come back and watch this video if you want to find out some key tips that I've learned along the way after over 1,000 wins now in multiplayer in Brawl Stars. So the first tip that I want to share with you guys today is knowing the range and the spread of every single brawler in the game. Because even if you're not a big fan of playing that certain specific brawler, you're going to want to know what the range of his projectiles or her projectiles before you go head-to-head against them, right? For example, a Ricochet or a Brock can outrange a Colt and a Bow. That's important to know in case you go against them, right? And of course, the spread, meaning like Shelly and Poco and Bull have a great spread that can hit multiple targets, whereas someone who falls like right in the middle would be a Crow, for example, and then a Ricochet, a Colt, a Peach, I want to call her all the time, a Piper, basically. She looks a little bit like Princess Peach, right? Or is it just me? Either way, I really like her, and she has a direct, no spread, basically, so you have to have good aim, so know your own strengths when choosing a brawler. And then the second tip is knowing how and when to die strategically. Okay, so dying is generally not a good thing in this game. However, in some modes, such as Heist, such as Smash and Grab, even in Bounty, if you want to make sure that you can protect your teammates, knowing when to be extra aggressive because you're not a priority for the opposite team is really important. It's a simple concept, but it's also fundamental to playing this game and having success with it. So in other words, if you have, in Bounty, for example, if you're only worth 1 star, and your teammates, your bandmates are worth 3 or 4 or 5 stars, and we're approaching the end of the match, you want to go ahead and play aggressive. You want to act as a buffer between the enemy and your teammates. That's really important to grasp as well. Now, the third tip. Third tip is, and you learn this really quickly in this game. I actually got a subscriber asking a comment the other day, how does this game not be stale? He didn't have access to the game yet, but he's like, it seems like it could be stale after just a few matches on a certain event, on a certain whatever it may be. And my response was really easy, and it comes into play for this third tip, right, is they switch up the maps all the time. They add brand new maps, and that is key number 3. Tip number 3 is maps make a big difference in this game. Not only to the strategy that you want to be using with your brawlers, but also the brawler selection for a specific map. For example, a map that has a ton of grassy areas, and there's a lot of maps like this, and they're constantly pumping out new ones. You want to make sure you use a character like Crow if you have him legendary, bad example. But basically Crow, you're going to use that damage over time to be able to see your opponent. 2 other examples are Jessie and Nita. They're really good because they can summon that turret or that bear to help you identify where your opponent is. Also, Bull is really good because he's a big hardy guy, a lot of HP, and he has that spread shot. So if you run into a Bull in a grassy map, that's going to be a recipe for disaster. What if you have a wide open map with not a lot of obstruction? Well, then you're going to want to be using your Piper, your Brock, your Colt, even Jessie works well, your Bow. You want to make sure you play those control characters and snipe from a safe distance. So that is tip number 3. Maps make a huge difference. Tip number 4 is about trophy pushing in the game. Trophy pushing, I've kind of I've kind of come up with my own personal plan when I'm trying to trophy push, that I'm only going to use characters below or brawlers below 100 trophies in Showdown. It's just the easiest way to level them up quickly or trophy push them up. It's a high reward, low risk situation. Even if you don't do too well, I mean, you can easily, even with a bunch of third and fourth place finishes, you can easily get your trophies up to 100, and then I switch over to team mode on my brawlers that are over 100 or 150 or so trophies. Depending on your skill level, you can stick with Showdown for quite a while, especially if you use the Showdown beasts, Shelly and El Primo. And the last tip I have for you guys, just for today's video, plenty more tips coming at you guys, but knowing what brawler can be any other brawler on a one-on-one situation is really important as well, right? You don't want to go into a match and even engage with other brawlers on a 1v1 situation unless you're sure you can beat them. Sometimes going back to your opponents, working, or your teammates rather, working in a triangle formation, always accounting for where they are on the map is incredibly crucial to having success in this game. You don't want to charge into a couple opponents if you don't have your super A, and B, you know they can beat you in a one-on-one encounter, a one-on-one situation. Now, furthermore, just to kind of piggyback on that tip, is the best way to figure out how to beat somebody in a one-on-one, because it's not just as easy as saying Shelly always beats Primo in a one-on-one encounter. I mean, if Shelly stands right on top of Primo, if you're standing on top of Primo, you're outside of his slap radius or whatever the heck he does, right? His boxing, I guess it's boxing. But either way, you want to make sure you have the correct distance against your opponent. If you're a Brock, if you're a Piper, if you're a Bo, you want to make sure you engage Shelly from a safe distance that's outside of her range, but within your range. Kind of goes back to my first point about knowing your range. So guys, that is going to do it for today's video. Just wanted to quickly share 5 tips that I've come up with in Brawl Stars so far that I wanted to share with you guys. I hope you enjoyed these tips. Plenty more videos like this on the way. Maybe 5 big mistakes and how not to make them might be the next video in Brawl Stars on this channel. By the way, if you're getting into Brawl Stars, go ahead and toss me a subscription. I will be covering the game, especially when it goes global, on a daily basis along with Clash Royale. So double uploads coming from CWA Mobile Gaming. Guys, huge shout out to my YouTube partner, Bren Chong. You can find his information in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and as always, take care, guys.